Hello, beautiful. I am so happy you're here to join us on our weekly Thrive Live. I am Siblin, the founder of Relative Growth, and this is a place where we talk about how to stop dreaming and start living and what that looks like, what we need to do, and the tools that can help us get from here to there. Um, whew, Today, love is in the air, or is it? It's kind of crazy. Our topic is: do you know what your love language is? Do you know what a love language is? And if you don't, I don't have my book. It is a wonderful, wonderful book that I highly recommend. Um, it is written by, I don't have it. Oh my goodness, we're live and this is embarrassing. It's written by Gary Chapman and it's called The Five Love Languages: the Secret to Love That Lasts. And it changed not only how I was in a relationship with my partner, but how I was a mother to my children and how I asked and received love from others. And it is one of those books that you have to read over and over again to get the true and full meaning of it. And I just finished it, so I am chocked with great quotes and great feelings about it. And that's what I wanted to talk to you about today is, do you know what your love language is? And why is it important? Do you know what your partner's love language is? What your children's love languages are? What your friends and family's love languages are? And why it matters. I came across this idea of having a love tank. So every time that you give or receive love, you fill up someone's love tank or you take away from it. And having a really clear understanding of what's going to give you a better deposit into someone's love tank or love bank, so to say, is going to strengthen your relationship faster or deteriorate it faster. And so, if our goal in life is to have love and fulfillment and acceptance, wouldn't it be true that it's extremely important to know and understand what's going to fill up someone's love tank and what's going to deplete it? And this became a question of mine because so much of what I talk about and so much of what I firmly believe in is loving yourself and making sure that you're taken care of, that your love tank's full, knowing how to fill up your own love tank. That what I really got out of reading it this time was something completely new. And let me read you this quote because it really got me thinking about it, which is so different than anything you've heard me say in the last year. And let me read it to you. It says, love is something you do for someone else, not something you do for yourself. Love is something you do for someone else, not what you do for something else. Not something you do for yourself. And this is straight from the book. And what that got me thinking about, which is so different with what we talked about, which is self-love and self-care and taking care of yourself, which I still 100% back and believe that it's important because you need to have your love tank full. And if you're finding that you're depleted, if that people are not putting into it, the one and only thing that you have control of is yourself and learning how to fill up your own love tank. So once you're full, once you're taken care of, knowing that you're going to be giving love to someone else. Think about it. How are you with the ones that you love most in your life? Do you openly give to them? Do you do things that you would not normally do because you know it's going to make them happy? Like my son's obsessed with Zelda right now. And all he wants to do is to talk Zelda. Last year when I had read the book, I had him take the 5 love languages test. There's the one for couples, there's one if you're single, there's one if you're dating, there's one if you're married, there's also one for kids. And he has 2 books. I've read the ones for kids. He has one for teenage years, which I'm like eyeing and waiting as I get closer to the tweens and teens. And the one for kids is great. And if you had to choose one book, and I'm totally segueing, don't worry, I will get back to my story. But if you had one book that you had to read, I would really suggest that you read the one for the children. And the reason being is because they still talk about the marriage relationship in there as well. So it's kind of this like twofer where you get a parenting and a relationship book in one, if that's the boat that you're in. If you're dating and you don't have to have kids, the one with the relationship is fabulous and phenomenal. But if you're like, Siblin, I'm busy, I don't have time, and you're a parent, do the 5 love languages for kids. You'll get it. You'll get the relationship and the kid aspect of it. So anyway, so I was thinking so much about it. Like, I will sit on the couch and watch him play video games and do so happily. And I would sit there and I will play video games with him. And so I had him take his love language test about a year ago. And, we were laying in bed one night and I was just kind of asking him questions and be like, just choose what you want. There's no right or wrong answer. You're not going to get graded on it. Mommy just read this book and it talks about love languages and how one love language is more, fills your love tank up faster than other love languages. And so let's just see what your love language is. So he complied and we took this test and I found out that his love language is physical touch and quality time. And that was a huge indicator because there's 5 love languages. There's physical touch, which is a high five, a hug, a way to go, patting on the back. It incorporates more touch into your daily routine with your children or your spouse or whatever and whoever you're around. So there's physical touch, there's quality time, which is spending time together, enjoying each other's presence. There's acts of service, so helping, and I'll come back to it, but my middle child, I have a feeling, is acts of service, and I'll explain why in a minute. But helping out with the day-to-day, the chores, doing something special, going out of your way to help someone else out that could fill someone's love tank up. Words of affirmation, giving praise, and then gifts. And so each person has a primary love language and maybe a secondary, or depending on where they are in life, they can flip. I know that when I was a new mom and I was working tons of hours, acts of service was my primary love language. But as my kids got older, as I was able to have help with things that I needed and find process and procedures to make it a lot easier, quality time became my primary love language. So that's kind of, I have found that in my family there's 2, and which, I think they kind of flip if one is needing more attention than the other. And so I sat down with my son. I found out what what his love languages are, and I made sure to play on that. And I wanted to see is if I played on his love language, will he be happier, be more content with his life? And as a bonus, he actually ended up becoming a better, well-behaved kid because he was giving back to me the love that he was receiving. And so I had found out that his love language was physical touch and quality time. So me sitting with him on the couch, focused on him and what he is doing. So I am giving to him something that he wants and that he needs, not putting any of my desire or needs onto it. Just being there for him allowed him to fill up his love tank. Which then in return, he felt loved and accepted, that he wanted to give back to me. And he did so by helping out with dishes. Because I was able to express to him what my love language was. Saying that I love quality time, and also you helping do dishes, which is normally my chore, really makes me feel special and loved. So now, if he's feeling special or loved, or he can see I'm having a bad day, do you know that he actually walks over and will do the dishes for me? How sweet is that? So having a clear understanding of what your love language is allows you to be able to express it to others so that they can better, not serve you, that's the wrong word, but better love you in a way that's going to fill you up. And you can also have a better idea of the ones that you care about around you, what their love languages are. So that when you are focusing on giving them love, you're loving them in a way that will strengthen them, that will grow them. And let me give you an example. I have 3 kids, very different. My oldest was very independent. He had to do it himself. And when I was pregnant with my second, it was very hard for me to buckle him into the car seat. Just getting over in the big belly, it hurt. And so it took me, I think, a couple days. I showed him how to do it. I was able to check it. He learned how to buckle himself into his car seat in a safe way, because I would cross-check it, of course. He loved it. He felt so proud of himself for doing it. Well, my middle child, I believe he's about old enough now to where I'm going to have him take the love language test, and I will let you know what it is. I have a feeling his are acts of service. He wanted me to do his buckle, and it was so much of a fight and crying, and we couldn't get it. And I had this epiphany one day where I'm like, I wonder if every time I tell him, no, you need to do it, I am taking love out of his love bank. Because his feeling is that if I turn around and I do it, he feels loved. So I went pregnant, I was pregnant with a third, pregnant belly and all. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to show him that I love him. I am going to buckle him in. And so I did it. I did it for like 2 weeks. And then he actually built up the confidence and said, Mommy, I'm going to do it by myself. So I gave in and gave him what he needed, which then gave him the confidence to do exactly which is what I needed him to do, which was to do the buckle. And I made sure to say, if you need my help, I am always here for you. And that was all it took. So giving him what he needed, that love, gave him the encouragement to go off and to take on this milestone. And he still would sometimes say, hey, Mommy, can you help buckle me? And instead of being like, you're a big boy, you know how to do it, maybe he needed that reinforcement from me in that moment to say, I need to know that you still love me, and you buckling me in shows me that you love me, because I'm speaking his language. That is why it's so important, especially right now, where I go back to my initial conversation, is there love in the air? And there's not. We need to lean into love, and we need to learn to love our children the way that they need, because right now we are their sole source of love, more than anything else. They used to be able to get it from teachers and from friends and from coaches, and I mean this in the most healthiest way. Right now, we are the only source of love that they have. So having a clear understanding of what their love language is will help us fill them up so that they can survive during this really hard time. If we know what our own love language is, then we can communicate it with the ones around us so that we can have a full tank in this really hard time. And that's why I so much believe that right now it's really important that we have a full love tank. So how do we do it? What are the steps to get from where we are today to having a full love tank? Well, let me tell you. We can read the book, or you can read the article that's attached down below. And I have, you know how much I love having an experiment. We have a love experiment, and it is a 6-month love experiment. And you can do it. You can do it for 1 month, you can do it for 3 months, you can do it for 6 months. But you get to learn how to talk your special person's love language. Whatever that looks like, however that might be, It's all laid out here for you. There's the steps on how to do the experiments and what you need to do in between. So read the book, read the article, take the test. The link is in the article to take the test for the love language. It takes you straight to the official site. I am not affiliated with it in any way. I just really fully, wholeheartedly support the author in this book. I think it was really beneficial for myself and for my relationships around me. So number 1, you read the book or the article. Number 2, you take the test. Number 3, you use the printable and you start learning how to speak your special someone's love language. You find out what really works and resonates with them. And then 4th, you watch your relationship blossom. You watch your spouse come home and want to help you with the dishes. You watch your children lean into you and they want to follow instructions because they feel loved and connected with you. And that, I didn't just read it in this book. I read it in multiple parenting books. And let me tell you, my friends, it works. If you're loving and connecting with their children, they have less tantrums. So work on that. It's well worth looking into. That's it today. Next week, we are going to be talking about how to create a morning routine that helps you be more productive. And I'm really excited to share with you some tips and tricks on how to get that started for you. I also want to remind you that this is the last week that we're going to have the Relative Growth monthly membership open. And if it's something that you're interested in, if it's something you have more questions, come back today at 3:30. I'm going to give you a sneak peek of what the principles are going to look like and how it's going to help you really grow and build your confidence and find your joy and give you more productivity and more time and more energy in your life. And all of it is going to be with simple daily exercises, weekly exercises that are proven to help you get from where you are today to your dream life. Mwah! I love you all. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you next week. Or today at 3:30. Bye.